I thought we were going to be able to say we live streamed every single day the entire season, starting months before the season without taking a single day off for like 200 days in a row. We were about to get there, and Southwest decided, nope, 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 nope. Mason, I get it. I know you want to fly home. I know you want to go through and live stream. You got work to do, but instead, let's cancel every flight imaginable. Let's make you drive around the state of Florida, going from different airport to different airport, trying your damn best to get back to Austin, Texas. So I am very sorry. Our live stream streak ended. Very sad. I thought we were going to be able to make it the entire season. It's not on me, ladies and gentlemen. I would have done everything that I could to get it there. But anyway, I will be excited to go through and talk some fantasy football for the fantasy football playoffs here. I'm sorry, not only playoffs, championship. And I'm assuming that we will have a decent amount of people on this live stream because I'm assuming a decent amount of people in the flock made their fantasy football championships. I cannot wait to get you a video after this week showing our in-depth results of over the 700 teams we drafted this year. I will give you a quick little sneak peek. We've had better results than anybody else you're going to find. I'm excited to flex on y'all in that video. But as I set up this live stream, thank you so much for coming out. And again, I apologize about the flight and how our live stream streak ended. If you could for me though, go down there, drop a like. I believe only about 10% of y'all have dropped a like yet. What the hell is up with that? And also, if you want to check out any of these player props, of course, you can find the link on Underdog Fantasy. Link in the live chat, link in the description, link in the comment section. When you sign up for Underdog, use promo code FLOCK. They're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. You can check out all those cool player props, get into drafts with us in the live stream. And also, we are getting y'all a free bet with the Cincinnati Bengals Buffalo Bills game Monday night. Only with people who use promo code FLOCK. It will either be like Jamar Chase more than less than half receiving yards. Super excited we're able to get y'all that. But it's only for people who use promo code FLOCK. But I think that should be about it. Let me get a little sip of water. We have not sat a live stream in 2 days now, so I am not prepared for this. Oh, Dr. Ryan Cecil coming out. Thank you. Says, the flock withdrawals were real. I apologize, my friend. Trust me, I was withdrawing from live streaming myself. I mean, if I'm coming out here every day and building my days around this for my entire life, it's hard when it's taken away. But Braden says, Gardner Minshew or Brock Purdy. I mean, with Purdy, they're massive favorites this week. I'm assuming they're going to be able to just run the ball over and over and over again. I mean, I would go Gardner Minshew just because I think he has to throw it a little bit more. With Brock Purdy, they're a running football team. And our Gravy says half PPR format. We got to pick two guys here. Tyler Algier, DeAndre Hopkins, Alvin Kamara, and then also Pat Freiermuth or Darren Waller. Okay. I completely understand. DeAndre Hopkins and Alvin Kamara have been disappointing. 100%. Compared to what we've seen from them throughout their entire NFL careers, compared to what we thought they would be just a few months back, it has been ugly. You are not happy, and I'm happy you were able to overcome their performances to make sure that you get to the fantasy football playoffs. With that being said, there is no way in hell I am going to be starting Tyler Algier over them. I understand he's had a great 2-week stretch. I don't care about the matchup against Arizona. I don't care about his 2-week stretch. It is Tyler Algier playing for the Atlanta Falcons in possibly the worst, or at least one of the worst offenses in the NFL versus Alvin Kamara and DeAndre Hopkins. I don't care if they're disappointing. You are starting DeAndre Hopkins and Alvin Kamara over him. And then between Freiermuth and Waller, Freiermuth had a spike up with targets this past week. I think we can go back to Pat Freiermuth, my friend. And the Trailer Park Boys, happy to have you out, says Amari Kirk or Garrett Wilson. Honestly, I'm all in on the Garrett Wilson hype train here. I mean, if Garrett Wilson is getting Mike White back under center, really anybody not named Zach Wilson, I'm all in. Great matchup against the Seattle Seahawks this week as well. And Patrick says, love you, man. Happy BR format 2 quarterback league. Are we going to go Purdy or Minshew? Just said Gardner Minshew, my friend, just because, I mean, the 49ers should be able to run the ball consistently. And then Pollard or Garrett Wilson. Very interesting. So you have the Dallas Cowboys favored by, I believe, about 10.5 points going up against the Tennessee Titans here, where we can assume, hell, they're able to run the ball in the second half. Tennessee's going to have no answer for the Dallas Cowboys defense. Tennessee's not really going to be competitive at all on Thursday night. But at the same time, Garrett Wilson is getting back Mike White, which I think it should be a massive bump up, and it's a pretty damn good matchup as well. So you know what? I like both guys. I feel like we kind of have to say Tony Pollard, though, right? I think we have to say Tony Pollard with the matchup against Tennessee. But Derek coming out with a massive donation. Thank you so much, my man. You know I appreciate it. You said, Best Ball Mania, first and second place. Me and you in either order. Let's go. Let's go, my friend. And yes, sir. Best of luck. I really hope you get second place. If you get first and that means I get second, just like you're saying, I'll be fine with it. If you get first for the 2 million and I get second for the million, I'll be fine with it. But I'm so happy about our results this season, my man. I mean, realistically speaking, I don't know, and I know we sound like an ass saying this, but I don't know if there's anybody that had better results than us this season. I'm pulling this up. We entered into 3 drafts with the $500 more buy-in. We entered the Great Dane, Bulldog 1, Bulldog 2. We advanced one of those in the Bulldog 2. We advanced 3 big dog teams out of like 20 we drafted, and this is to the final round. We have like 3 big dog teams in there. We have a Dalmatian team in there. I think we only drafted 3 of those total. And we have a Best Ball Mania and a puppy. It didn't do as well in the puppy as the high stakes leagues, but oh my gosh, those high stakes leagues, we just freaking crushed this year. I can't wait to see what happens. But Cody Jones coming out and says, opponent had Jacobs, Adams, McManus, Green Bay DST, and needed 32. So I'm assuming we took it then, my man. I mean, speaking of a disappointing week this past week, we had Jacobs and Adams doing absolutely nothing. Y'all know I had Jacobs in every single league, so it was a little painful there. We were able to overcome it, but still. Good for you, obviously. Brutal for your opponent. Now, Christopher says, Robinson, Najee, Henry, Tyler Algier, thanks for the season, bro. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. And if we're having to choose 2 of these guys, I'm assuming that we are going to go Najee Harris, Derrick Henry. Is there something I'm missing here? I saw a question earlier in the live chat about Derrick Henry as well. Did I not see something? Let me pull up Derrick Henry to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay, so Derrick Henry at practice. Okay. I mean, the man's at practice. I know some people are saying that he's may or may not play. It doesn't matter. If Derrick Henry's active, you play Derrick Henry. Okay. So I think we plan on going Derrick Henry and Najee Harris. I understand Tyler Allgeier's been pretty damn good. The offense is horrible. It's Tyler Allgeier. Like, I don't know. And now, next one coming out from Crab Vision says, Allgeier, Carter, Jeff Wilson Jr., or Zach Moss for running back 2. Here's where we can go, Tyler Allgeier. This is the group we're playing, and we're not considering them with the guys we were looking at earlier with like DeAndre Hopkins, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris. No, if it's going to be Michael Carter, Zach Wilson. I'm sorry, not Zach Wilson. Oh, Jeff Wilson or Zach Moss. We got those 2 names combined. First Tyler Allgeier. That's where we can go with the Atlanta RB. Now, Vanagan says, bench 1. We have St. Brown, Lamb, or Chase. We're leaning with benching Lamb. My friend, I actually have that same exact ranking. I have Lamb ranked as wide receiver 6 this week, but that is directly after Amon-Ra St. Brown at 5. We have Brown at 5 because right now the Detroit Lions have the highest implied team total of any team in the NFL. And Jameson Williams giving you nothing. Amon-Ra St. Brown just dominating. Now, Dr. Ryan C. Slide here again says, if Watson or Lockett are healthy, are you starting them or streaming someone like Hodgins, Gallup, or James, losing those 2 back-to-back hurt? I would definitely be starting them. I mean, with Christian Watson in particular, if he were to play, which at this point we don't know, he's day-to-day, it's going to be a phenomenal matchup. I mean, he will be going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Right now, the Green Bay Packers, I believe, off the top of my head, have the 4th highest implied team total of the week. They're going to be a ton of points scored. Green Bay's favored by 3.5 points. I mean, Christian Watson looked like the dominant number 1 target before the injury this past week. And then if we're looking at Tyler Lockett, it won't be a good matchup against the New York Jets, but he's been so good when he's played so far. Tyler says, PBR, we're going to roll with James Conner or Travis Etienne. And should I be hesitant to play Davante Adams? I moved Davante Adams to the lowest ranking we've had him all season. I looked at him, the disappointing weeks we've had over the past few, and the horrible matchup against the San Francisco 49ers. And I agree. He's scary. And I said, hell to the no. Are we not going to rank him in tier 1? I'm not going to rank him in tier 2. I'm going to move him down to tier 3. We're going to rank him still in wide receiver 9 because at the end of the day, he's Davante Adams. At the end of the day, you still have to play him, even if you're not assuming that he drops 30 points this week. And then if we're going to be looking at James Conner versus Travis Etienne, here I think we can have a real conversation. I mean, Etienne has such a good matchup going up against the Houston Texans. James Conner going up against Atlanta has a great matchup as well. James Conner is playing over 95% of the snaps in Arizona, and he is drawing targets out of the backfield. I think you can probably go James Conner. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Ernest says, start Walker or Montgomery. I'm going to go Kenneth Walker over David Montgomery. And also Waller, Goddard, or Pat Freiermuth. I'm going to go Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert came in. He played almost every snap right away. Like, Dallas Goedert had that full role his first week back. I only assume that he gets better this next week. And Max says, should I bench Derrick Henry? Worried about being limited in a bad game script. Olave or Brandon Cooks? Definitely Olave there. And then Pat, assuming he plays. Of course, you're going to have to monitor the hamstring. Pat Freiermuth or Tyler Higbee? Higbee, phenomenal week this past week. He had a lot of target volume at the beginning of the season. We'll go Higbee. It's close. I don't think you can make a wrong decision there or a right decision. I think they're about the same. And then, no, you should not bench Derrick Henry. If Derrick Henry plays, I'm playing Derrick Henry. I don't care what's coming out about him dealing with some injury. I don't care that the Tennessee Titans may be out of it. I don't care if it's a horrible matchup where they're 10-point dogs against the Dallas Cowboys. If Derrick Henry is playing, Derrick Henry needs to be in your starting lineup. Now, Warm Cheese says, depending on Jalen Hurts' status, do we roll with Deshaun Watson or Mike White? Still down bad, but in the finals. Thank you. Good to have you back. Happy holidays. Thank you so much for coming out, my friend. And I thought at this time of the year, Deshaun Watson would be crushing. I legitimately thought Deshaun Watson would be winning fantasy football leagues. And we clearly have been wrong. Deshaun Watson did not elevate Amari Cooper as we were expecting. Deshaun Watson has been winning games for the Browns, but not really winning games for the Browns. The Browns have just been winning with him under center. I think Watson's probably going to be a lot better next season. Mike White has a great matchup going up against the Seattle Seahawks. If we're going to be looking at the implied team totals here, right now, the Browns are extremely low. Las Vegas sportsbooks right now are telling us that the Cleveland Browns are supposed to score fewer points than Houston. That is how bad it's supposed to be this week. I mean, if you're going to be looking at where they have the Jets, it's not that much better going up against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm probably going to go Mike White over Deshaun Watson. And maybe I'm overreacting because I'm so disappointed with what we had with Watson. It's not the easiest matchup in the world traveling to Washington, though. Now, Mark Ward says, Mark Andrews or Darren Waller or Taysom Hill for the championship. Okay, thank you, my friend, for coming out, and good luck. Wishing you the best of luck. And I have no freaking idea. I've been saying over the past few weeks, oh yeah, Mark Andrews is much worse than we thought he would be, but you still got to start him because the tight end position's disgusting, and he's averaging 7 targets a game over the past 5 weeks. That's what I was saying a week ago, but if we pull up the game log for Mark Andrews here with how freaking bad he's been, receiving yards since returning from injury, 63, 50, 53, 17, 31, 45. This offense has been very bad. I mean, the last time this offense scored 20 points was in November. It's currently December 27th. This offense is going to go the entire month of December without scoring 20 points in a game. If Lamar Jackson's back, we go Andrews and don't think about it too much. If Lamar Jackson misses, I still probably go Mark Andrews, but I'm going to cry myself to sleep that night when he drops a total of 30 receiving yards. I mean, I don't know, my friend. I don't know. If it was a non-PPR format, maybe we say, let's just go Taysom Hill and have a Hail Mary that he scores a touchdown. But obviously in a PPR league, not that Exciting. Now, 217 Frag says start 2 between Stevenson, Aaron Jones. I actually love Aaron Jones in the matchup this week. Tyler Algier, am I crazy for not wanting to start Aaron Jones or Stevenson after last week? Good to see you back, my man. No, thank you so much for coming out, my friend. I am definitely happy to be here, and I'm a little rusty with the live stream, not going to lie. We're going to go Stevenson, Aaron Jones. I understand. Very bad this past week. If we're looking at Aaron Jones, they're favored by 3.5 points over Minnesota. They have a top 5 offense this week, according to Las Vegas sportsbooks. With Ramondre Stevenson, the usage has been there all season, where he's looked like prime Alvin Kamara with the amount of target volume he's out of the backfield. So I'm sorry. I think we kind of have to go with those two guys, even if Algier's been better over the past 2 weeks. Now, Arnaud coming out says, Happy BR Superflex made the finals thanks to you. You made the finals thanks to yourself, my friend. Congrats. It says 2 running backs, Derrick Henry, Zeke Montgomery, Zach Moss. I'm going to go Derrick Henry and Ezekiel Elliott playing on Thursday night. Now, of course, you're going to have to monitor to make sure that Derrick Henry does end up playing. If Derrick Henry misses, I will go David Montgomery over Zach Moss. We need 2 wide receivers between Evans, Amari, Debo, Richie James. We're going to assume Debo Samuel misses. We're going to go Amari Cooper and Mike Evans. And the one flex from the above, I think we are going to flex David Montgomery, assuming that Derrick Henry plays. If Derrick Henry misses and you had to put David Montgomery in at running back, and then at that point, we're choosing between Zach Moss, Debo Samuel, Richie James. Our backup option is Debo Samuel if he plays, but if Debo Samuel were to miss, which is what I'm assuming is going to happen, then I think you reach into your pocket, you hope that you have a quarter, a penny, or something like that, and you call heads or tails and flip a coin for Zach Moss or Richie James. Clearly, Zach Moss looking like the starting running back in Indianapolis, but at the same time, it just may not matter with how bad this offense is. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from Aiden says, bench 1, we have Miles Sanders, Garrett Wilson, Leonard Fournette, or Tyler Lockett. Probably going to bench Lockett in a very tough matchup against the New York Jets coming off an injury. Now, Quinn says, in a 1-quarterback league, PBR first championship and boned by quarterback injuries. If Tua or Jalen Hurts don't play, who are we going with? Our top options are Baker Mayfield. My friend, hell to the no. There's no way we can do that. Sam Darnold, I'm going to repeat, hell to the no. Not seeing the other options, but we're not doing that. Russell Wilson, hell to the no. Tyler Huntley, Kenny Pickett, Teddy Bridgewater. I wish I was joking. Oh my gosh. How many rushing yards did Tyler Huntley have this past week? Tyler Huntley's been bad. Like, there's no way you can get around that. Huntley's been bad. Like we said, this offense is going to go the entire month of December without scoring 20 points in a game. Huntley had 26 rushing yards this past week, 115 passing yards. That was against the Atlanta Falcons as well. Tyler Huntley has been averaging about 25 rushing yards per game. So we can't even sit here and say Tyler Huntley is an exciting option because of his rushing upside. Hell, he's had no rushing upside so far. It's the matchup for Kenny Pickett at Baltimore. Hell, no, we can't do that. I mean, right now they have a bottom 5 implied team total this week. Russell Wilson, the Denver Broncos have a bottom 5 implied team total. Can't do that either. Do we go Teddy B? Teddy B's going into a system where he has Tyreek as well as Waddle. It's a tough matchup going up against New England. Right now, the Miami Dolphins are projected to score more points than any other offense on this list. I'm sorry, my friend. I think we end up having to go Teddy Bridgewater. It's the grossest thing ever, but assuming Tua misses, we go Teddy. Now, Blues fan, always happy to have you out. It says pick 3 in a non-PBR format. Moss, Stevenson, Patterson, Deontay Foreman. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to be playing Stevenson, Foreman, and Zach Moss. Let me pull up the usage we had with Cordell Patterson this past week, but it's just very difficult for me to imagine that multiple Atlanta Falcons running backs continue to get there. I'm going to bump up Zach Moss a bit in a non-PPR format. Yeah, CPAT had 8 carries for 17 rushing yards. Not getting involved as a pass catcher either. I think we bench Cordell Patterson. And then between Taysom Hill or David Njoku, I honestly want to go Taysom Hill in that non-PPR format, because in that non-PPR format, literally the only thing that matters at tight end is scoring a touchdown. Now, Lightning, happy to have you out. Says, hey, Mason, happy holidays. Full PPR, we're going to start a quarterback, 2 running backs, receivers, and a flex. We have Cousins or Goff. I think or Mike White. We're going to end up going with Jared Goff. They have the number 1 implied team total of any offense this week in the NFL. Mixon, Connor, Etienne, Dylan, Rashad White. We're going to plan on going with Connor and Etienne. Etienne, great matchup against the Houston Texans. Receiver, Jefferson, Waddle, Higgins, Wilson, Olave, London. We're going to be going with Jefferson, Higgins. And then for that flex spot, we're actually not going to play. Oh, it is painful. I can't play our guy, Jalen Waddle. I think we have to play Joe Mixon over Jalen Waddle in the flex. With Waddle, he was bad, and there's no other way to put it, in games where we had no Tua Tagovailoa earlier this season. So I think even with Mixon seeing his role scale back, it's probably going to be the highest scoring game of the week. Mixon's still a very good running back. Let's go, Mixon. Now, Arnott coming out again says, a follow-up tight end, are we going to go Noah Fant or Hayden Hurst? So Noah Fant had a respectable week this past week, but you have to remember, while Noah Fant's had a 2-game stretch here where he's looked pretty good, you've also had no Tyler Lockett. So they've had to rely on him a little bit more in this past week. He only had 3 targets. Week prior, he had 6. Hayden Hurst earlier this season benefited from playing in games that had no Jamar Chase, that had no T. Higgins. Obviously not every game, but some of those. Probably going to go Hayden Hurst, just in an offense that we expect to score significantly more points. Don't go to the waiver wire for tight end. Adrian says, pick my finals lineup in that non-PPR double flex league. Running back, we need 2 between Henry, Jacobs, Walker, Connor, Akers. We're going to be going with Henry, and honestly, do we go James Conner over Josh Jacobs when Jacobs going up against San Fran? I think we may go Henry and James Conner. You know I'm the biggest Jacobs stan you're going to find. Receiver, we need 2 between Jefferson, Chase, Adams, Watson. We're going to go Jefferson, Chase. And then 2 flex spots, or 2 flexes, we're going to go Jacobs and Walker. I mean, I think if it was a full PPR format, we would be taking Devontae Adams over one of the RBs. But in that non-PPR league, that's where we're going to be going with the running backs instead. Okay. Now, Debris says, pick 2, we have Algier, Stevenson, Dobbins. The roster is Allen, Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Etienne, Hawkinson. Okay, so I definitely think we're going to play Ramondre Stevenson. Despite Stevenson having the down week this past week, I mean, still, this is a running back that if we take a step back, look at the larger sample, he's had a phenomenal role as that pass catcher. If we're going to be looking at Dobbins versus Algier, I mean, with J.K. Dobbins this past week, we thought it was like the best matchup you were ever going to find going up against the Atlanta Falcons in a game where the Baltimore Ravens easily won it as well. I mean, Jacobs only had 12 carries, 59 rushing yards, and no receptions. I mean, this is going to be a continued trend for J.K. Dobbins. Very difficult to assume that he ever gets targeted out of the backfield. And for that reason, we're probably going to have to go Tyler Algier. He drew 5 targets this past week. I mean, hell, in that same game, he had 18 carries. I am not overly optimistic with him. I don't want to come out here and act like he's a must-start player, but let's do it. Now, Jake says, start 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex between Walker, Akers, Stevenson, Najee, Waddle, Watson, Godwin, Pittman, and Kirk. Okay, so I think our 2 running backs, we're going to end up going with Walker as well as Stevenson. Najee Harris, don't like the matchup. It's going to be a very low-scoring game. And then for our 2 wide receivers, we're going to be planning on going Godwin and Kirk. I'm sorry, no, we're going to go Godwin and Waddle. Really interested to know if Christian Watson ends up playing. Christian Watson gets cleared significantly before the game where it looks like he's not going to be limited. I probably play Christian Watson over Christian Kirk, given the great matchup against Minnesota. But of course, you have to be a little bit more hesitant when we're going to be looking at Christian Watson here coming off the injury. Now, Kevin says, should I play Higbee over Andrews for the championship? Oh my gosh. I think you probably have to. I've been an idiot long enough telling people to play Mark Andrews. Can everybody spam the chat with this answer? Are you going Tyler Higbee in a game where the Rams just dropped 50 points? Coming off a game where they did. or Mark Andrews when he's done nothing over the past month. Even if I want to say Mark Andrews is a significantly better tight end, I don't necessarily know if it matters too much at this point. Please, we have 400 people out here. Let's get 400 messages in the live chat. We're also about to hit 200 likes in the live stream. It looks like about half of y'all have done that. So if you have not done so, please go down there and drop a like. Okay. Now we got Higbee. Everybody's saying Higbee. We have a few Andrews sneaked in, but Kevin, my man, everybody's saying Tyler Higbee, and I've been an idiot for telling people to play Andrews long enough. Briar says, should we play Darren Waller or Mark Andrews? Pull up what Waller has done over the past 2 weeks. I mean, 2 weeks ago, came in, had a decent game because he got the touchdown, but honestly, it was not pretty. He had fewer snaps than Foster Moreau. He had 3 targets. Past week, bumps it up to 5 targets, but honestly, going up against San Fran, I don't want anything to do with it. I think we're going to go ahead. We're just going to play Andrews. Now, Garrett says flex Watson or DK Metcalf. We're definitely going to go DK Metcalf there, my friend. And then we're going to start Jared Goff or Justin Herbert. Interesting call, given the fact that with Jared Goff, highest implied team total of the week. With Herbert, he's looked somewhat disappointing. I'm still probably going to go Herbert over Jared Goff, but at the same time, hell, I could just be straight up. Oh my gosh. I could just be operating with some massive biases we had coming into the season. Cosmic Waters says, full BBR, who do I start? Need a running back and a flex between Najee, Kamara, Etienne, Garrett Wilson, Judy. And do we worry about the Jacksonville Jaguars starters playing time? Hell to the no. Why? No. Please. This week, I'm not really going to be worried about anybody's playing time. I think trying to go through and predict, okay, so if the Tennessee Titans lose on Thursday, Jacksonville going up against Houston, they can bench their guys in the second. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not trying to figure that out. I think if you had your fantasy football championship week 18, yes, that's a game you have to play. This week, no. We're going to start Etienne, and honestly, I may go Garrett Wilson over Alvin Kamara. Like Garrett Wilson, great matchup going up against Seattle. You have Mike White back under center. We pull up what Alvin Kamara's done. I mean, Alvin Kamara, the main issue is the target volume's fallen off a cliff. I mean, after Halloween, so if we look at November, December, 4 targets, 5 targets, 7 targets, 3, 2, 4. So he's averaging about 4 targets a game, which is fine for a normal running back, but that's not what you expect from Kamara. Oh my gosh. I mean, I guess going up against Philadelphia, it's a tough matchup as well. I still probably go Alvin Kamara over Garrett Wilson for the flex spot, but I don't like it. And J-Max says PBR, half a point per rush attempt. Okay, that means you put a running back in your flex spot. Super simple. And then we have Etienne, Walker, Henry, Waddle, Hopkins, Devonta Smith, Zay Jones, Tyler Algier, DeAndre Swift. Thank you for supporting the channel, my friend. Let's not overthink it. Let's start the studs. Hopkins, Waddle at receiver. I am worried about Waddle in a tough matchup with no Tua, though. And then if we're going to be looking at running back in a flex, you start all 3 guys. Start Etienne, Walker, and Derrick Henry. Make sure Derrick Henry's not in the flex, given he plays on Thursday. But in that half point per carry league, you have to play 3 RBs. Now, Derek out again says, I have to go for dinner, but good luck to you. I'll talk to you this week in Discord. Might have to sweat this out on Sunday and Monday. If I have any shot in Best Ball Mania, you better believe I'm streaming on Monday night. If we have a real sweat for $2 million, like if it looks like I could end up getting first place, or even if it looks like I could end up winning the big dog for $100,000, if I have a real sweat with like life-changing money on the line, you better believe we are live streaming that game on Monday night. If I'll send you a message, Derek, but if you have that real sweat as well, you better be coming on the live stream. I'm messaging Derek right now just in case he's not here. Okay, so now our next question coming out from, I believe, Logan says, full BBR start Dobbins, Jeff Wilson, Tyler Algier. We're going to go ahead. We're most likely going to be starting Tyler Algier here, my friend, in a full PBR format. Defense, are we going to go Ravens, Kansas City, or the Jacksonville Jaguars? Kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs here playing Russ. They're favored by 13.5 points. I mean, right now, Denver has one of the lowest implied team totals of any team you're going to find in the NFL. Starters are Burrow, Eckler, Jefferson, Adams, Hopkins, St. Brown, Njoku. Yeah, so keep that as is. Let's go Tyler Algier over J.K. Dobbins. And then let's go ahead and let's play the Kansas City Chiefs DST. Dre says, which two do we start between Hopkins, Godwin, and Devonta Smith? We're going to go with the combo of Hopkins and Godwin. Smith is very close. I do think that you may have Dallas Goedert seeing a few more targets, though. Misa says, 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and 2 flex spots. We have CMC, Chubb, Chase, Wilson, Allen, Walker, Pacheco, Amari, Dobbins. If Lamar is out, Watson, Purdy, Wilson, White, or Teddy Bridgewater. Here, I think we probably will go to Deshaun Watson just because he gives you some rushing production, but it's not what we thought it was going to be. I thought Deshaun Watson was going to come in for the fantasy football playoffs. I thought he was going to be Houston Deshaun Watson. I thought he would be the same guy. Clearly, we were laughably wrong. I still like him over these other options, even in a tough matchup, though. Now, going over to our starting lineup, I think that we are most likely at running back going to have to start CMC, Nick Chubb, despite Chubb being a little disappointing as of late. Our receivers are going to be going with Jamar Chase, Keenan Allen. And then our 2 flex spots, we're going to go Kenneth Walker and Garrett Wilson. I actually really like the matchup for Garrett Wilson going up against Seattle. Now, Frank says start Pacheco, Najee, or Tyler Algier. I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to play Najee Harris, my friend. And Kid Cuddy says, full BBR championship matchup. We got to pick 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex between Jones, Akers, McKinnon, Gibson, Lamb, Hopkins, Waddle, Moore, as well as Adam Thielen. 2 receivers are going to go Lamb, Hopkins. We don't have to think about that. Or 2 running backs are going to be going Aaron Jones. And then the second guy is going to be a little more difficult. F it. We're going to go Cam Akers. Even if I don't want to say even if he doesn't catch the ball. Hell, he had like 3 or 4 targets this past week. Obviously, the man had a monstrous performance. The Rams scored 50 points. Not going to happen again. I think you can play Cam Akers. And then for that flex spot, specifically because I'm an idiot, I'm going to go ahead. I am going to be playing Jalen Waddle against the New England Patriots. Tough matchup. Bad quarterback play. It doesn't make a lot of sense to play him, but we'll do it anyway. Now, Colin says, pick 3. We have Wilson, Hopkins, Amon-Ra, Keenan Allen. So essentially we have to bench one of these guys. If you're going to be looking at our rankings, Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be an auto start. The other guys will be in a similar range. We have Hopkins at 8, Keenan at 10, Garrett Wilson at 13. I think we do have to bench Garrett Wilson, even if I do like the spot with his quarterback play and matchup. Now, Amir says, need to choose 2 between Mixon, Waddle, Godwin in a full PPR formats. I think we go with Mixon and Godwin, right? No, I don't know. I have Waddle and Godwin ranked back to back. It's just so hard to get too excited about Waddle given the quarterback play he'll have and the matchup he'll have. Like, I'd be fine going up against New England if we had Tua under center. But those games Tua missed, Waddle was bad. I can't sit here and make too many excuses for him. You know he's my guy, but what am I supposed to say? He was bad. There's not much else to it. Brady was horrible. Godwin, I think this entire offense kind of got lucky that they ended up going to overtime just to squeeze out some more volume. Please play Mixon between the receivers. It'll be up to you. I probably will go Waddle, but I have Waddle in every league, so I'm very biased. Victor says, so I made the finals thanks to you. I need help between Hopkins, Waddle, Evans, and Metcalf. Not sure which 3 should start. Okay, so I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to play DeAndre Hopkins regardless of his quarterback play. The man just gets too much volume, and it should be a better spot this week. We're going to go Metcalf as well. Metcalf, tough matchup against the New York Jets, but you have Tyler Lockett banged up. Even if Lockett comes back, I think Metcalf will be the wide receiver 1 here. Between Waddle and Evans is where the real conversation is. You just heard why I don't want to start Jalen Waddle. Like, it is not the best situation we've ever seen. But I still think we need to go ahead and start Jalen Waddle, my friend. If we're looking at Waddle versus Evans, like, it's hard to come up with too many more excuses for Brady. I'm rooting for Brady. I'm rooting for the Bucs at this point. I mean, I think at some point with continued success, he kind of just got to throw in the towel and kind of got to root for the guy in the last year or two. But it's hard. It's hard to assume you're going to get much. Now, San coming out says, we lost Breece Hall, Javonte Williams, Dameon Pierce. Who should I start? You lost those three guys and you're still in the fantasy football playoffs. You're in the fantasy football championship. Love it, my friend. Between Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, or Zach Moss, I'd probably end up going with Mostert, Zach Moss, right? Let me pull up the split that we had with these Miami running backs officially. Yeah. Jeff Wilson with the touchdown. Mostert had an extra reception. I still want to lean with the side of maybe Raheem Mostert being the starting back here. We know that Zach Moss is the starting back in Indianapolis based on what we saw this past week. The issue is it's just a horrendous offense. Now, Wilson says pick 2 in a PBR format. We have Zeke, Najee, McKinnon. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to play Ezekiel Elliott and Najee Harris. And then also Kirk Cousins or Jared Goff. We're going to go Goff, like we've been saying. I mean, they have the highest implied team total, according to Las Vegas Sportsbooks this week, going up against the Chicago Bears. Okay. And Rod says, to it down, we need to choose between Mike White, Teddy B, or Colt McCoy. And for the flex, we're going to go Rachaad White or Hollywood. Assuming Greg Dortch does not play, and assuming Colt McCoy is under center, I go Hollywood Brown. If either of those things are untrue, then at that point, I think we can pivot over to Rachaad White. And then for our quarterback, we're going to go ahead. We're going to play Mike White. I mean, with Teddy B, I think he can be a last-minute resort, just given the fact that he is in a very good situation, but it is difficult. David says, made it to the final. Thank you. Congrats, my man. Should we start Rodgers, Lawrence, or Deshaun Watson? Flex, McKinnon, Dillon, Olave, or Deebo Samuel. And then the defense, we're going to go with the Cowboys or Ravens. I'd actually go Cowboys DST. I mean, they should just stomp the Titans on Thursday night. Flex spot, I mean, Olave, Deebo Samuel, I'm going to assume that they're not playing. If they're not going to play, and if it's a full PPR format, I'll go McKinnon over Dillon in a full PPR league. If Olave or Deebo play, we'll play the wide receiver or the running backs. And then for quarterback, I think we're actually probably going to end up going with Trevor Lawrence. I want to tell you Aaron Rodgers, but I think that they're going to be able to run the ball against the Minnesota Vikings here a bit. It's a great matchup for Aaron Rodgers, but it's hard to ignore what you've seen from Lawrence over the past month, or really 6 weeks. Now, Brian says 3 receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. We're going to start Etienne, Pacheco, Algier, Singletary, James Cook, Lamb, Wilson, Lockett, Gabe Davis, Lazard, Gage, Gallup. We have Josh Allen, and it's a PPR format. Okay, so for our 3 wide receivers, we're going to go Lamb, Garrett Wilson, and I believe Tyler Lockett. With Lockett, obviously, it's not that exciting when you're going up against the New York Jets. It's a tough matchup. You're a week removed from an injury. If we're going to be looking at the 2 running backs, I think you play Etienne and Tyler Algier. We don't think too much about that. Really just comes down to the flex spot. I think we're going to be looking at the best running back available as Isaiah Pacheco. The best wide receiver available would be Allen Lazard if, and I repeat, if Christian Watson misses. If Christian Watson plays, then it's Gabe Davis. But almost regardless, I'm going to be playing Isaiah Pacheco in a good matchup against the Denver Broncos where they should run the ball in the second half. Now, Blazing Flock coming out says Cam Akers, Najee Harris, Tyler Algier, or Kenneth Walker. We got to pick 2. Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown. Do I start those 3 or do I swap one out for Drake London or one of the backs mentioned above? Definitely roll with the wide receivers, my friend. Thank you for giving me that softball question so we can stall a little bit to decide on the running backs. Please play Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown. Do not overthink it. Thank you so much for being a member of the flock. I think at running back, you got to go Ken Walker here for one of the spots. But between Algier, Cam Akers, Najee Harris, I do not know. I'm sitting here really trying to think about this, my friend. Here's what I'm going to do. I didn't know if I was going to do this at first. I will make a running back rankings and tier list video this week. I will make sure we're going to get a running back video ranking out so I can help with Akers, Najee, Tyler Algier. It's a close question. It's a good question. And I'll look more into it, definitely. Now, Wam says, with no Hurts, do we go on Jones? And at the flex, should we go with Devonta Smith, McKinnon, or Dobbins? Definitely go with Devonta Smith here. And then with Daniel Jones, I mean, if we're looking at the Giants supply team total this week, it's not a great spot. Obviously, Daniel Jones gives you some rushing upside. Against Indianapolis, however, I would assume that they are favored by a decent amount and should be able to run the ball. Let me look this up. The Giants are only favored by 5.5. I actually thought the spread would be a little bit larger. You're okay with Daniel Jones? I don't want to act like it's exciting. I really don't want to act like it's exciting. And but flex Devonta Smith. Now, Lopez, always happy to have you out, my friend, says Mason from 1-6 to now going to the finals up against the best team in our league. CMC, Barkley, Diggs, Jefferson. But who do we start? We have Fields, Connor, Walker, Amon-Ra, Jalen Waddle, Kelsey, Hopkins at the flex. And then bench, we have Watson, Najee, Thielen, Lockett, Waller, and then JT on the IR. Obviously, we would wish we had Jonathan Taylor. If we had Jonathan Taylor this week against the Giants, instead of playing Jalen Waddle at the flex spot, I would feel significantly more confident. I think that this is a great team almost regardless. It's going to be a phenomenal matchup for Justin Fields. I expect a massive bounce back Justin Fields game. I am wishing you the best of luck, my friend. I know you've been working very hard for that comeback all season. I am super happy to hear that you're in the finals from 1-6. I do not change anything in this starting lineup, and I think that you do realistically have a solid chance to win for two reasons. One, we have that correlation with the Detroit Lions Chicago Bears game. If that turns into a shootout, we are going to get a massive performance from both Justin Fields and Amon-Ra St. Brown. That could propel us to the win over a juggernaut team. What could also propel us to a win is what always can. Travis Kelce on his own. Travis Kelce may go out there and drop 35 points when your opponent's tight end, whoever the hell that may be, maybe it's Pat Freiermuth, drops 4. So you have two different paths, in my opinion, to get the win this week. You need a shootout between the Detroit Lions and Chicago Bears, or you need a monstrous Travis Kelce performance. I think both are a real possibility. Now, coming out, another long time member of the Flock says 3 years of the Flock, 2 championship games in the 20-team league, one in 2020 and got to the finals this year. Been going for 15 years plus, and my highest finish was second in 2015. Thank you for the advice. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my man. I am so happy for you. And yeah, I mean, every time you ask us, over the past 3 years, every time you've asked us the question with that 20-team league, I just sit here and go, okay, well, this is the grossest thing I've ever seen. But it's because it's a 20-team league, obviously. I mean, the depth that you're going to have to go to is going to be significantly more difficult than what we'd see in some of these other shallower formats. But congrats, my man. I am super happy for you. And thank you for being a member of the Flock for so long. And Leo says, here we go, finals. Sit DK Metcalf, Romeo Doubs, or Jahan Dotson. Leo, my man, we made it to the finals. Let's not ruin it. Let's not overthink it. You got DK Metcalf, you start DK Metcalf. Don't do anything else. Now, 217 Frag says Dalton Schultz or Darren Waller in a full PPR league. Ooh. We're going to go Dalton Schultz. When in doubt, you bench anybody going up against the 49ers. Let's go Schultz. Blake coming out. Thank you, my man. Says championship week. We got 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex. Henry, Pollard, Connor. We're going to go Derrick Henry and James Conner, assuming Derrick Henry plays. Receiver, we have Adams, Waddle, Keenan. Thanks so much, Mason. You're the go. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my man. We'll go Davante Adams, even if he's coming off a gross week and playing the 49ers. Don't love it, but you go with it. We go Keenan Allen as well over Jalen Waddle, if I'm going to be honest. And then for that flex spot between Waddle and Tony Pollard, I'm going to sit this one out because it's a championship week. I don't think I can afford to give you a bad answer on this. It is so important, and I am very biased in favor of Jalen Waddle. It is not a good matchup against New England. More importantly, if Tua misses, it will be ugly. So can everybody please spam the chat? Are you playing Tony Pollard or Jalen Waddle? Pollard against Tennessee or Jalen Waddle against New England? Please, we have almost 500 people here. Can we get 500 messages in the chat? And also, we are about 3 likes away from hitting 300 likes in this live stream. If you could go down there and drop a like in the stream, I would truly appreciate it. And reading the chat, we got Pollard, Waddle, Waddle, Pollard, 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 Waddle, Pollard, Waddle, Pollard, Waddle, Waddle. Sounds like most people are saying Tony Pollard's pretty damn close. It's difficult, my friend. But keep in mind, if you do decide to play Tony Pollard and Derrick Henry and James Conner, you have to put James Conner in there at the flex spot because those other two guys play on Thursday. Braden says, do I bench Devontae Adams for Jerry Jeudy? Hell to the no. Do not overthink it. I agree. It's a tough matchup. He's been bad, but he's still playing. Amir coming out says, need to in a full BBR format. Mixon, Godwin, as well as Jalen Waddle. I think we actually answered this for you earlier on. My friend, we went with Mixon and Waddle, but we literally have Waddle and Godwin ranked back-to-back in our rankings, and I'm not going to fault you whatsoever if you wanted to go Godwin instead. Now, Ramu coming out, always happy to have you. My man says, PBR, we need a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, and a flex. Our running backs are Pollard, Najee, Swift, Algier. Our 2 RBs here, I think we're going to go with Tony Pollard and Najee Harris. I'd love to go DeAndre Swift. Can't do it, though. Receivers, we have Jefferson, Higgins, Waddle, Christian Watson, who may be out. We're going to be going with Jefferson, Higgins at receiver. We're going to be going with Waddle at the flex. I don't even care if Christian Watson were to play. It's a very good matchup. So you hate having to sit him out. But if he's dealing with a nagging injury, we just play Jalen Waddle over him. On the waiver wire, we have Zay, Chark, Dotson, Dobbs, and not playing any of those guys over someone like Waddle. And then tight end, we have Andrews, but Dulcich and Conklin are available on the waiver wire. We're going to be putting Mark Andrews into our starting lineup, and we are going to be looking away as we do it and probably crying ourselves to sleep that night. So I'm sorry, my friend. I would love to tell you can bench Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews been very bad compared to what you expected. But at the same time, I mean, dear God. Like, what? I can't sit here and say, oh, Tyler Conklin, he's so good, blah, blah, blah. No, we can't do that. Oliver says, is 0 RB dead? I think one thing that people make a massive mistake with in fantasy football is getting into tribes and thinking that their way is the best way, and anybody who does not do exactly what they do is an idiot. So I think that if you're looking at the 0 running back strategy, in years past, it was a very viable option dependent on the fantasy football format that you were playing in because of the landscape of the running back position. We made videos this season saying while I had been a proponent of going very wide receiver heavy in years past at the beginning of your drafts and avoiding all the dead zone running backs. If y'all remember, this year was when the mainstream fantasy football analysts, which I guess maybe I am now, but at the time we weren't, the mainstream, the talking heads, they were all of a sudden talking about the running back dead zone where you couldn't draft Josh Jacobs in round 6. You couldn't draft Josh Jacobs in round 7. And we went back and we historically looked and said, yeah, over the past almost 8 years now, the running backs that have gone in rounds 4, 5, and 6 are guys that are on their second deals that just project to get volume, but they're crappy. They don't have any underlying talent. They didn't have the pedigree coming in, yada, 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 yada. We said this year's a little bit different. If you can get Josh Jacobs, who's 23, 24 years old, former first-round pick, who's improved every single year of his NFL career. If you can get that player after Elijah Moore, you should probably go ahead and draft him in the middle rounds. Said the same thing with David Montgomery. Like, I was drafting a lot of mid-round running backs this year, and I've never done that before. So I think that if you go into a season and you say, I'm a 0 running back zealot, or, oh, those 0 running back guys are idiots, or one way or another, if you put yourself in that bucket, you are going to severely handicap yourself. I think what you need to do is you need to take a step back, do your own research. I wrote 300 pages of fantasy football analysis this offseason. I spent the entire offseason working every single day doing research. Come away with your own conclusions for a completely different year, looking at a completely different player pool. Of course, knowing historical hit rates is an extremely important tool to reevaluate what we got wrong and what we got right in years past. But please don't, I would say our best ball teams, we drafted over 700 teams this year. I probably have better results than anybody else you're going to find. And after the season, we're going to make an in-depth video. I want to first see if we win the big dog. I want to see if we win Best Ball Mania. I want to see, okay, are we going to win 5 figures? Are we winning 6 figures? Or are we winning 7 figures this year? Like, I will say we probably will have better results than anybody. I'll make an in-depth video after the season, though. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Julian says, made it to the finals. Thank you for all the help this season. Need a little bit more help with the starts. Have PPR, Hurts if healthy, or Jared Goff. If Jalen Hurts is healthy, you play Jalen Hurts. I don't expect him to be. I would probably plan on going Goff. And then tight end, Freiermuth, Hill, Higbee. I'm probably going to go with Tyler Higbee. Flex, Rachaad White, Pittman, Jahan Dotson, James Cook. Oh, dear God. I guess we go Michael Pittman. He's not good. The offense isn't good. Well, what the, can I freaking tell you to go Jahan Dotson? I don't think we can do that. I do not think we can do that. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Flocky Valley says, Devonta Smith clutch for me. Let's go. Happy for you, my man. Good luck in the championship week this week. And John says, rank these defenses: Chargers versus the Rams, Giants versus the Colts, Jags versus the Texans. Thank you, sir. Let me go ahead. Let's pull up the spreads that we have on these games. So right now, I believe the Chargers are about 5.5, 6.5 point. Yeah, they're 6.5 point favorites over the Los Angeles Rams. They're playing in Los Angeles. Technically, the Chargers are home, but who cares? The Giants versus Colts, we just checked. I think that spread's about 5.5 points. Yeah, Nick Foles just looked horrible this past week. The Jags, Texans. Jackson was only favored by 4.5. I'm very surprised by that. I mean, if we're looking at Vegas, they're telling us the Los Angeles Chargers will probably be the best DST to play. The Rams looked very good this past week, but they were playing against a team that has completely given up in the Denver Broncos. I think that they're all very viable plays. The Jacksonville Jaguars one is probably the one with the highest floor. Mike says, the man is back. Good luck in the finals, my man. I'm there with you. Good luck, my friend. Really wishing you the best of luck. If you're in Best Ball Mania on Underdog with us, I'm wishing you get second or third, okay? I'll take first. You can have whatever's left over. Now, Pleasure says, hey, Mason, thanks for the help this season. Full BBR semifinals. We got Fields, Goff, or Gardner Minshew. Okay, I think we have to go ahead and you have to play Justin Fields. I know Fields was bad this past week. I don't think Justin Fields is a good real-life quarterback. If we're going to be honest here, I think that the Chicago Bears average like 137 passing yards per game. I think that they are going to end up with the second overall pick in the NFL draft. I think it's a horrible roster, but I don't think Justin Fields is some great NFL quarterback like everybody else does. I do, however, think he's an elite fantasy quarterback because of the rushing upside, and it's a great matchup against the Detroit Lions. And then if we're going to be looking at the flex between Algier McKinnon, Zay Jones, Christian Watson, Dotson, we'll go Christian Watson if he plays against Minnesota because I love the matchup there. But I'm assuming that Christian Watson probably doesn't play, so he probably end up having to go Tyler Algier. And then tight end, Kmet, Everett, Waller, Njoku. We'll end up going with Darren Waller. Not too excited about it, though. Kicker, I'm not going to be able to help you with, my friend. I am very, very sorry about that. Thanks again. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you for being a part of the flock, and I am wishing you the best of luck this week. Now, Tacoma coming out says, pick 2 receivers, 2 running backs in a flex in a standard format. We have Jefferson, Williams, Olave, Saquon, Stevenson, Dobbins, Pacheco, and Swift. I think we're going to go with Jefferson as our wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 between Mike Williams and Olave. Literally just going to be up to, does Chris Olave play? If Olave plays, I'll take him over Mike Williams, but at this point, I don't think he does. And then our running backs in our flex, we're definitely going to go with the running back in the flex. We're going to go with Saquon, Stevenson, and Dobbins. In a standard format, if it's non-PPR, not interested in Swift whatsoever. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe Mike says, Bam Knight, Tyler Algier, J.K. Dobbins, or A.J. Dillon, where we also have Aaron Jones. Need 1 or 2 if Jones doesn't play in a full PPR format. We're going to be going with Tyler Algier. And then if Aaron Jones doesn't play, you have to play A.J. Dillon. If Aaron Jones doesn't play, you have to go Dillon. Now, Wam says Goff or Danny Dimes. I'm going to go Jared Goff, my friend. I mean, the Detroit Lions should score 1,000,000 points against the Bears this week. Kevin says in the championship, we're going to go Goddard or Andrews. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. Goddard came back, played his usual amount of snaps his first week in, and Andrews has continued to look very bad. So I think we go Goddard. Chase says full BBR, start 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and a flex. Between Pollard, Najee, Akers, Algier, Amon-Ra, Waddle, Judy, Christian Watson, and George Pickens. I think our two running backs here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to play the combo of Tony Pollard. And then we actually had the same exact question earlier on in the live stream between Najee, Akers, and Tyler Allgeier. Very funny that this is the same exact running back group that we were looking at. And we had to go through and give a cop-out answer saying, I will create a running back tier list and rankings video 2 days from now. I wasn't planning on doing it, but I don't know how to answer this right now. I definitely need more time to dive into it. And then for our three receivers, we're going to play Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Christian Watson. If he does play, if Christian Watson misses, we'll go Jerry Jeudy. And then for that flex spot, we're going to go right back to the running back position. You don't want to be playing a wide receiver in the flex on this roster, but that running back ranking video will definitely help. Now, Blake says flex Brian Robinson, Amari, Alvin Kamara, and then also Akers or London. We'll definitely go Akers over London, and we'll definitely go Amari Cooper over Brian Robinson and Amari. Ian says, pick one in a PBR format. McKinnon, Akers, Dobbins, White, or Brian Robinson. At this point, I think we're going to be planning on Cam Akers. Don't be too surprised if we flip on this in a couple days, but as it stands right now, we're going to plan on Akers. John coming out says, dumb question, but are we going to go Cousins or Brady? Thank you so much, John. We are going to go Kirk Cousins. I don't think it's a dumb question. Tom Brady does have a very good matchup going up against Carolina, but Tom Brady just looks so damn bad this past week. And I think it should be possibly the highest scoring game of the week against the Green Bay Packers. Like if we're going to go through and look at the over-under for games this week, the Detroit Lions and Chicago Bears sitting at 52 points. But after that, you have the Minnesota Vikings and Green Bay Packers at 48, which is behind the Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati with the over-under. So they're supposed to be the third highest scoring game of the week. I do like Cousins here. And then Gabe Davis or Romeo Doubs. I think we're going to go Doubs if Christian Watson were to miss. If Christian Watson does play, at that point, we pivot over to Gabe Davis. Obviously, with Gabe Davis, you're just looking for that long touchdown, though. It should be a shootout game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Nathan coming out, always happy to have you, my man. Says, hey, Mason, would you go Dotson, Zach Moss, or maybe Dallas Goedert? We're already starting Hawkinson for the flex in a standard league. If you're saying standard league is in non-PPR, I think at that point, we go Zach Moss. If it is a full PPR format, we will maybe go Jahan Dotson. Full PPR format, maybe we go Jahan Dotson with him taking a step up. Non-PPR format, we go Zach Moss. Dallas Goedert really like at tight end, but we just have that hard rule that we're not flexing tight ends. We're not doing it. Now, Alexis says, need a flex between Dotson, Tyler Allgeier, or Adam Thielen. I think we're going to go Tyler Allgeier here. Jackson says, start to Juju, Pittman, Jeudy, Ayuk, as well as Dotson. We're going to play it on Juju Smith-Schuster and Brandon Ayuk with the assumption Deebo Samuel misses. Young Goon coming out says, start two between Thielen, Rachaad White, Sutton, Jet Wilson, Treylon Burks, or James Cook. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to be playing Rachaad White as well as most likely. Do we go James Cook here? James Cook's seen a significant step up over the past month in the amount of snaps that he's been playing. I'm not playing Jet Wilson. We can't play Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks just unstartable in a very tough matchup with bad quarterback play, but it's tough. Jonas says, yo, Mason, need two for the flex. Amari, Pacheco, Moss, Zay Jones, Dobbins, or Hollywood. Thanks, my guy. No, thank you, my friend. Full BBR format, we're going to plan on Amari as well as Hollywood Brown. If we get a report saying Hollywood's going to start, keep in mind he didn't start this past week because he missed a team meeting, and we have Colt McCoy. You need both of those things to happen. If either one of those things won't happen, then at that point, we're pivoting over to Zay Jones. It really comes down with Hollywood on those two variables, but that can be something we get more information about going into this weekend. Grant says it was Cam Akers all along, just like you said. Yeah, what's actually really funny is I tweeted out, in my opinion, a hilarious joke. I think we have some pretty funny jokes on Twitter. The second that Darrell Williams got cut, if y'all don't know, one of my biggest misses in fantasy this year was I was all about drafting 5th, 6th round Cam Akers, which honestly kind of really helped us this past week in those best ball leagues, but really like Akers in the 6th. And I tweeted out once Darrell Henderson was cut, and this is like when Cam Akers was supposedly going to get cut from the Los Angeles Rams when he wasn't playing at all. He was healthy and active. I said, Cam Akers, I said, I tried telling y'all Cam Akers was the top 5 running back. Don't try hopping on the bandwagon now. And of course, some idiots thought we weren't being sarcastic, but maybe we weren't. Yeah, I guess maybe not. Now, Nighthawk says, in the finals, we need a receiver and a flex in PBR format between Evans, Jeudy, Akers, and Dillon. I think we're going to plan on Evans and Akers if Aaron Jones were to play. If Aaron Jones misses, we go Evans and A.J. Dillon. Now, Kip says, W call on Walker. Going for back-to-back now. Flock up. Flock up, my friend. Good luck. I mean, winning back-to-back championships is always very difficult to do. Charles says, if Lamar doesn't play, who to start, Gardner Minshew or Brock Purdy? We're going to go Minshew with the assumption that the 49ers should be able to just easily run the ball. If Lamar does play, who do we start at 3? If Lamar plays, you play Lamar Jackson. Obviously, we're really hoping he plays. I believe that's the Sunday night game. I think it got flexed out. So, oh dear God. If they flexed out a game where we're having to watch Tyler Huntley versus Kenny Pickett, I'll be a little pissed. Now, Michael says, for quarterback, I'm going to go Purdy, Geno, or Daniel Jones. We'll probably go Brock Purdy or Daniel Jones here. With Geno Smith, he's been fine, but I mean, it's a tough matchup going up against the Jets. I really don't want much to do with the Jets defense. Okay. Now, Brandy says Nick Chubb or Cam Akers this week in a full PBR format. Here's where we've gotten with Cam Akers. We definitely still go Nick Chubb over Cam Akers. I don't think we overreact too much to what we had this past week. Grant says, I love the Cam tweet, by the way. Give him a follow, people. Thank you, my friend. And yeah, I mean, I think sometimes I'll say, you're never going to get good fantasy football advice from my Twitter. Like, should we dive into a 20-minute video where I can look at historical analysis and break it down in depth for good fantasy football advice? Or should we go with 140 characters and try to give fantasy football advice in there? I think we should probably try to give good advice on YouTube, because I don't think you can really do that on Twitter. And then on Twitter, try to have some good singers in there, but we try our best. Now, Leo says we have Cousins, Jefferson. Are we going to start Hawkinson or Dallas Goedert? My man, I think you go all in on the Minnesota Vikings. And what's really funny is my Best Ball Mania team that I have right now, let me pull this up. This is the team that advanced to the playoffs. Is a team that has Kirk Cousins as the main quarterback. This team does have a shot, by the way. This team's dust. We have Cousins at quarterback for Daniel Jones, Mac Jones. Running back, Kamara, Leonard Fournette, Cam Akers, Josh Jacobs, Jerick McKinnon. Receiver, Jefferson, Thielen, Lazard, Woods, Myers, Osborne, Corey Davis, Kendrick Bourne. Tight end, Waller, and Hawkinson. We are all in on the Minnesota Vikings team. If we win $2 million this week, it will be only on the back of the Minnesota Vikings and Kirk Cousins here. Please, Cousins, get us there. I think you got to play Hawkinson over Goddard almost regardless based on what we saw this past week. And Yoel coming out says, Allen Lazard or Zay Jones. My friend, I think we're going to go Zay Jones, even if it looks like Evan Ingram is the true number one receiving option in Jacksonville. Like, Allen Lazard just not really showing anything. If Christian Watson were to miss, then maybe at that point we can revisit it. But right now we're going to be planning on Zay Jones. Okay. Now, I think that's all we got, but thank you so much, of course, for everybody coming out, hanging out with us in this live stream. We have one more coming out from Bravo Tube. Says, made it to the championship game in a 14-team league. Play Lamar, Mike White, or Gardner Minshew. Congrats, my friend. Super happy for you. I think we rank it as Lamar, Gardner Minshew, Mike White last, even if Mike White isn't a good matchup against the Seattle Seahawks. But thank you again, everybody. I'm going to get a video out to y'all tomorrow. Like I said, I'm sorry that we had to end our 200 days in a row of live streaming or whatever it was. Blame it on Southwest. I did everything I could. But if you could, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If you want to check out any of these player props, link in the comment section, link in the description. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match. But thank you again. I appreciate you. Hope you have a great day and hope we get to see you with the live stream tomorrow night.